Jake and Lisa had always loved the idea of a remote camping trip, away from the hustle and bustle of their city lives. They found the perfect spot deep in the woods, far from civilization. Their RV, a sturdy vehicle with all the comforts of home, was parked in a clearing surrounded by towering pines. The air was crisp, the sky a deepening shade of twilight as they settled in for the night. As darkness enveloped the forest, an eerie stillness took over. The only sound was the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. Jake and Lisa sat by the campfire, toasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The flickering flames cast long shadows that danced and twisted, giving the clearing an almost otherworldly feel. "Do you hear that?" Lisa suddenly asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake paused, straining to listen. At first, there was nothing. Then, faintly, came a low, rhythmic thumping sound, almost like footsteps, but slower, heavier. "Probably just a deer or something," Jake said, trying to sound casual, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. Lisa nodded, though she seemed unconvinced. They finished their marshmallows in silence, the strange noise still lingering in the back of their minds. When the fire started to die down, they decided to head inside the RV. The interior was warm and comforting, a stark contrast to the encroaching darkness outside. They locked the doors and windows, a precaution they usually skipped, but tonight seemed necessary. Lisa turned on a small radio, hoping some soft music would dispel the unease that had settled over them. As they prepared for bed, the noises outside grew louder. The thumping was now accompanied by scratching sounds, like claws scraping against metal. The RV shook slightly, as if something was pushing against it. Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he grabbed a flashlight and a sturdy wrench. "I'm going to check it out," he said, his voice firm. Lisa grabbed his arm, her eyes wide with fear. "Don't go out there, Jake. What if it's something dangerous?" "We can't just sit here and do nothing," he replied, gently pulling away. He took a deep breath, unlocked the door, and stepped out into the night. The flashlight's beam cut through the darkness, revealing the dense forest around them. The noises had stopped, leaving an oppressive silence. Jake walked around the RV, his nerves on edge. He saw nothing out of the ordinary, but the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered and went out. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he smacked it against his palm, trying to revive it. A low growl sounded from behind him, sending a chill down his spine. He spun around, wrench raised, but saw only shadows. "Jake!" Lisa's voice called from the RV, full of panic. He ran back, stumbling in the dark, and rushed inside, slamming the door behind him. "What happened?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling. "Nothing. I didn't see anything," Jake replied, though he was far from reassured. He double-checked the locks and peered out the windows, but the night revealed nothing. They lay in bed, listening to the silence, both too scared to sleep. Hours passed, and just as they were starting to drift off, the noises resumed. This time it was a soft whispering, unintelligible but undeniably there, circling the RV. Lisa clutched Jake's arm. "What is that?" she whispered, tears in her eyes. "I don't know," he admitted, feeling helpless. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling the small space with a sense of dread. The RV shook violently, as if something massive was trying to tear it open. Lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. Jake grabbed his wrench again, but what could he do against something he couldn't see? The whispers turned into a cacophony of voices, speaking in a language neither of them understood. The walls seemed to close in, the air growing thick and suffocating. Lisa screamed as the windows shattered, glass spraying everywhere. Jake pulled her to the floor, covering her with his body. The wrench was useless in his hand, the flashlight dead. They were trapped in a nightmare, surrounded by unseen forces. Get out now, a voice suddenly boomed, clear and commanding. It wasn't Jake's voice and it wasn't Lisa's. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Jake scrambled to his feet, pulling Lisa up. They dashed to the driver's seat, Jake fumbling with the keys. The engine roared to life and he slammed his foot on the gas. The RV lurched forward, crashing through the underbrush, away from the clearing. The voices faded as they sped through the forest, the RV bouncing and jolting over the rough terrain. Jake didn't stop until they reached a main road miles away from the campsite. They never spoke of that night again. The RV, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, was sold. They never ventured into the woods again, their love for the wild forever tainted